Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of CR Exposed. On today's episode we are looking at the Frost Giant from the Monster Manual 2025 edition. And with that, let's jump into this Frost Giant's pants here and see what they got to offer. And we'll begin from the top down here with looking at the actual size of the Giant and putting in its CR value. That will help with the tool and do a couple of various updates here. So first off, we're going to start with the 15 AC for our Frost Giant, and then we have a huge Giant. The only reason we have to worry about this is because it updates the dice that are used for the hit points, and we're looking for the average anyways of 13d12 plus Constitution modifier, so we'll go ahead and put those items in next with a 23 Strength, a 9 Dexterity, 21 Con, 9 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, and 12 Charisma. Now, the only real important one here for the basics of this tool is just the Constitution. Beyond that, you don't have to add in the other ones, but if you're looking to make a full monster, you actually want all these. But to double check, you really only need the Constitution unless you're, making sure to use all of your attack dice and whatnot. So from there, we will go ahead and take a look at this section here, which we could call like monster traits or monster skills maybe. We only have immunities to cold and nothing else, so we can actually skip right over all of this. So, not much going on with our Frost Giant here. Hopefully it is a CR8. We'll see in a few minutes here, but we are going to look at the actions section next here. So we have a multi-attack where the Giant makes either 2 attacks using Frost Axe or a Great Bow in any combination, which is great to see. There's no limitations there. We do have a +9 to hit, which means we are using our strength for our attack rolls here, which is fine. Just means that our Giant here is just outright boldly using their strength to shoot with, so they must have like some kind of crazy compound bow or something. Like this great bow just requires so much strength to pull back. Obviously it's a Giant. In any event, we can go ahead and put in the dice if we wanted to. We might as well, because we might have to modify these later on. So our Frost Axe is going to be 2d12 plus its strength modifier for a total of 19 plus 2d8 cold damage. So we'll go ahead and take these numbers and pop them down into the combat workspace here. So we'll add these two together to give us 28. Get rid of that because we don't need, well, we probably could put all those in, but it doesn't really matter. Next, we'll take a look at the Great Bow, which is doing 2d10 plus 10, or plus 6, excuse me. So we're doing 2d10 plus our strength modifier for a total of 17, which we are getting there. Then we're also adding in 2d6 for the cold damage, which is strange that they just don't use the same dice for both of those, for the cold and for the cold damage for both attacks. But it's funny because already I'm seeing lower damage by 4 points per attack here, which is kind of silly, honestly. All right, we'll go ahead and make our 3 combinations here. Actually, we're going to do our our Frost Axe, excuse me, ×2. We're going to do our bow ×2, and then we will do 1 of each, which is going to be the average. So we'll go ahead and add those in together. So we'll have 52 points of damage here, which we're going to use the average anyways, because that way, we don't know what kind of attacks we'll be doing for our monster here. So it's best to just take the average regardless. Then we also have a bonus action here before we finish up all of our maneuvers for figuring out if this CR is actually correct or not. Warcry recharges in a 5 or 6. The Giant or one creature of its choice can see or hear it, gains temporary hit points, and has advantage on the attack rolls. Now, normally I wouldn't do something like this, but since it's a one-shot use, we can add in the temporary hit points and the little bit of advantage. So the advantage that the Giant gets from this is going to be +1 attack bonus, which we can use. I don't remember which one of these does it right off the top of my head, so we'll just go ahead and add in 1 attack bonus here. Actually, Pack Tactics would have worked. It does the same thing. +1 attack bonus for the advantage here. If we were getting advantage on every round of combat, then it would be more like the Nimble Escape from the Goblins, where we'd get +4 to the attack bonus. And then we also get an average of 16 hit points once. So this actually needs to be divided by 3 rounds for this temporary hit points. So what is that? 16 divided by 4 doesn't really work out too evenly, so we'll have to do some rounding down here. All right, so let's go ahead and just throw that in there for the fun of it. So we'll say round down. 16 divided by 3 gives us 5. Okay, so we're getting 5 extra hit points for the entire fight. From there, we will go ahead and finish up combat here by giving us all of our, we'll just take the average here and throw this into the concentration, which would be the same as putting it into rounds 1, 2, and 3. We have ourselves a 52 attack bonus, or total of 52 damage. We do indeed have a CR 8. Technically, this is a CR 7.5 because we have a 9 and a 6. Averaged out, we get 6.5, but because there's no actual guidance on whether to round up or down, and I know a lot of you are going to say, well, you need to round down. That's what D&D says. That's for damage and healing, not for calculating monsters. There's no guidance on that. So we're using normal numbers because I've seen plenty of times where if I follow the rules for a monster and round down, then I don't hit the CR that the monster is supposed to be. There's been like some close calls. So in this case, this is another one where technically they do round up for a CR8. Now, to make this a proper CR8 monster, we need to do one of two things. We can either increase the attack bonus, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend because then we have to increase the strength, or we go ahead and increase the damage. So the easiest thing here is to increase the damage from 52 on average to somewhere around 57 to 62. So the quickest thing we can do here is just let's take the cold damage and bump those both up to D10s and see how that modifies overall. Sure enough, if we just take the cold damage, bring them both up to D10s rather than having them separate, we move our OCR from a OCR 8, which is offensive CR or offensive challenge rating. It moves from an 8 to a 9. That included with the attack bonus of our 9 bumps it up to an OCR of 10. We average that out with our 6. We get an even 8. So technically, as it stands, our Frost Giant is a CR 8. But you can tweak the damage on the cold attacks just a little bit up to D10s, and it won't make that big of a difference. So there we have it. CR8, either way, technically by rounding up or by adding a little bit of damage to the cold of our attacks, we have ourselves a CR8 monster, perfectly good to use in your games. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what I'm doing here and you'd like to get this tool for yourself, look at the link in the description below where you can go to my Ko-fi page where you can get the tool for free, completely for free, or you can donate if you feel so obliged to. You can also support the channel in a variety of different ways where you can also download and check out some of the subclasses I have, like the Ronin subclass, or you can get a bunch of monsters. There's also actual classes that I'm working on, like the Performer class, the Gunslinger class, or the Chemist class, and some others that are in the works. You can also purchase some of the scripts and monsters that I've created for D&D 5th edition or Tales of the Valiant here. You can also become a Ko-fi supporter where you can donate as little as $1 a month to get early access to videos and behind the scenes content that I'm doing for the channel. Or you can also join me here on YouTube and become a member here as well for, again, as little as much as $1 a month, where you can get early access to videos that I make as soon as they're posted. Or you can also comment, like, share, subscribe to the hundreds of other videos that I have here on my channel. Any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.